Hi, and welcome to this live reading from Christmas Cove by Sarah Dressler, and this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1. A piece of golden bread popped from the toaster. With a small white plate in one hand, America twirled through her kitchen. Plucking the warm toast from its cage, she placed it all on the counter. From the butter dish to the knife drawer and to the fridge where she retrieved her favorite strawberry jam, dancing around her morning routine left her feeling prepared to take on the day. Checking the time, she noticed that she was slightly behind schedule and was still wearing her red plaid pajamas. Nothing peeved America more than running behind. If you're not early, you're late, she told herself as her teeth crunched into her breakfast. She swiped her finger across her phone's home screen and opened the weather app. Another warm day, she thought. With Christmas 2 weeks away, she had yet to see a single flurry, and disappointment wrinkled her nose. Of all the years, to have a warm December! Her parents were going out of town this year, and she would miss enjoying her favorite winter activities with them. She loved skating in the snow at the outdoor rink with her father, and she would miss the annual Christmas Eve Santa hunt that one of the local neighborhoods hosts each year. America supposed she could go alone, but cringed at the idea. Oh, drat! America remembered that her parents were leaving today. She brushed the crumbs from her fingertips before swiping her phone to the video chat app. Her momentary panic at having missed saying goodbye to her parents before their flight dissipated when her mother answered after only one ring. I was wondering if you were going to give me a call, her mother said. Isn't America? Her father asked from somewhere off the screen. America motioned with a flick of her hand. Is Dad there? I can hear him, but I can't see him. Her mother panned the phone around. Dozens of people hurried around in the background with their luggage and children in tow. Loud overhead announcements screeched through the receiver. To one side, the bright morning sun streamed through a wall of windows and glared across her mother's face. Mom, America said. Mom, you're making me dizzy. Oh, sorry, dear. Here he is, her mom said. Can you see us both now? The video tornado stopped, and the announcements ended, allowing America room to speak. I'm going to miss you both so much, she said. Even though your favorite daughter can't go with you, I'm sure you're going to have a wonderful adventure in Italy. Her parents hadn't invited her, not that she could have gone anyway, with all the work needed to wrap up the magazine's end-of-year issue. But her parents beamed. They had waited a lifetime to take this trip, and America was glad that her mom and dad could experience it together. Don't be glum, her dad said. We'll be back in a couple of weeks, just in time for Christmas. Her mom shifted the view onto her face alone. You'll have extra time while we're away to work on your writing, or maybe go on a date. Mom, who's that nice man you spoke about who works with you at the magazine? What about him? America felt her eyes roll and wished her father would interrupt again. I don't need to date anyone, and besides, I'm going to be super busy at work, and I'm sure I won't even notice the time flying by. She lied. If there was anything she would notice, it was time. Honey, you haven't been out with anyone new since your breakup with Alan a few months ago. America knew her mother meant well. Alan had been a great boyfriend until he wasn't. It was during a short trip to the shore when she realized he was more interested in taking selfies and working on his tan than he was in spending time with her or even thinking about anyone other than himself. She had broken it off without delay, deciding that no amount of fun was worth staying with such a selfish person. I know you want me to be happy, and I love you for it, but I'm sure I'll enjoy Christmas with or without a man in my life. America giggled at her father in the background of the video, pointing at himself. She would always have a wonderful man to look up to in her dad. Plus, did you see the weather? It's going to be warm for at least the next few days. What kind of Christmas is it with shorts and tank tops and flip-flops? How do you think they celebrated the Southern Hemisphere? Her dad interjected. It's summer in Australia right now. I bet they still put out trees and snowmen, even those cute lighted reindeer in their front yards. And do you know what? I doubt they whine about the weather. So you hung up your ties at the law firm and now you're some kind of meteorologist, America joked, even though he was probably right. Be that as it may, it just doesn't feel right without snow, or even a coat and scarf for that matter. Or someone to kiss under the mistletoe. Her mother's eyebrows raised in rapid succession. Please try to have a little fun. We'll turn cold soon enough, just you wait. And perhaps you'll have somebody by then to help you keep warm, her mom said and rubbed the tip of her nose against her dad's. We plan on enjoying ourselves too. Ugh, gross, America said as an announcement squawked through the airport's loudspeakers, causing her to check the time once more. I'm going to be late for work. I have to get going, she said. I love you both. Love you too, her mom said. Promise me you'll at least try and have a good couple of weeks. America nodded and blew her mom a kiss through the screen. Have a safe flight. The screen darkened and America darted to the bedroom where her blush pink blouse and black cigarette pants waited for her at the end of the bed. She slipped on her clothes and ran a brush through the curls in her hair that she had set before breakfast. She grabbed her phone off the kitchen counter and dropped it in her purse. At the door, she flipped the light switch off and watched as the flocked Christmas tree in the corner dimmed. In her estimation, there was nothing sadder than an unlit Christmas tree. In the elevator, America fought the urge to check her watch again, knowing full well that she was still on time. She looked at the wood ceiling panels and counted the numbered buttons on the wall panel indicating the building's floors. The numbers ticked down from 7, and the lift slowed down as it approached floor 3. The door slid open, and an all too familiar face greeted her with the side eye that seemed permanently etched on her landlady's face. Morning, Miss Meadows, America said, and scooched to one side of the elevator. Is it? I hadn't noticed. The older woman shrugged and buried her nose in the pages of a book titled Gen Z for Dummies. America sucked in a giggle and held it until the elevator hit the ground floor. Have a lovely day and Merry Christmas, she said to her landlady on the way out through the lobby. Like a million little Christmas lights, crystal sun rays scattered geometric reflections from the building's windows onto the opposite side of the street. A neighbor she recognized but didn't know entered the door and held it open for her. A scent of fresh cinnamon rolls hit her nose. The man carried a whole box full in one hand, which reminded her of the order of delicious treats waiting for her at the bakery down the street. Thank you, America said to the gentleman, and Merry Christmas. Though the weather forecast called for warmer temperatures later in the day, the morning air was still crisp, and the harsh sounds of an awakening city welcomed her outside as she descended the stone steps to street level. She turned right and stopped at the corner where a stone bench encircled a naked maple tree. Its leaves had fallen weeks earlier, having apparently missed the memo on the unusual late-year heat wave. Up in the branches, a furry friend flicked its bushy tail. America dropped a handful of nuts on the top edge of the bench back as she walked by. Typically, America would stand by and watch the critter spiral down the tree trunk to collect the prize, but today she had no time and settled for a smart, "You're welcome," as she continued on her way to the bakery. Morning, America, the man behind the counter said. Nearly thought you'd forgotten about your order, but it's all ready for you. America noted the time. Late or not, these holiday treats were well worth any delay. She opened the slim cardboard box and inhaled the sweet smell of pastries glistening with sugar and spices. Christmas was the perfect excuse to spoil her coworkers. Who doesn't like treats? She thought. This is great, she said and closed the box. Thank you, Frank, and Merry Christmas. America flew through the door with her box of holiday pastries in hand and hastened down the street towards her office. From sidewalk to sky, America's eyes followed the cut lines of gray stones up her building's front facade. A polished black sign hanging above the golden framed glass doors read Chadwick House Publishing. At the stately doors, a porter ushered her through to the lobby where dozens of people gathered. Up 10 floors, the elevator doors slid open and she stepped into the sun-washed office spaces of Jet Trek Online magazine, the hottest travel site in the country. Partitions of glass framed in black steel allowed light to filter effortlessly through the room. Bookcases overflowed with resources and paper archives of the digital magazines and editions from over the years. Jet Trek had 96 to be exact. But who's counting? She thought. It was America who was counting. As the magazine's editor, it was part of her job to know everything pertaining to all the previous issues. There was software she could use to cross-reference and check any works in the archive, but there was nothing quite like the scent of old paper stock, slowly aging like a fine wine and filled like a time capsule with memories of the past. She patted a hand on the side of one of the bookcases as she walked through to where her office waited for her in the far corner. Poppy, America's assistant, leaned out from behind her own computer and a wide grin spread across her face. What do we have here? Poppy said and shot out of her seat, taking the box of pastries from America's hand. On cue and as though called by a dog whistle, co-workers appeared out of the recesses and converged on the treats. All their smiling faces and merry salutations filled America's heart. But there was someone missing, someone she could always count on to come and snag a pastry and give her a smoldering glance. America peered to the left down the long corridor and saw him. In her mind's eye, a marquee blinked in bright Broadway-style bulbs. Mark Moore, lead travel writer, floating in the air above his perfectly tousled salt and pepper head as he ambled towards her. Mark was the kind of writer America hoped herself to be someday. Since coming to the magazine 5 years ago, she had stayed in her current comfortable position, and there was no one to blame but herself. She was simply a great editor, and she was no Mark Moore. Mark's confident yet approachable style contributed to the magazine's success in recent years and made him a legend in the industry. On America's first day of work, and before she knew who he was, she had found Mark sitting in her office to get some peace. She had disturbed that peace when she announced that he was sitting in her chair and at her desk. After the awkward interaction, she preferred communicating with him via email and through copy. America didn't know if she was intimidated more by his status or by her physical attraction to him. Either way, she was a statue around Mark. "Good morning, America," Mark said, smoldering glance and all. She stood slack-jawed, words having departed her mind. A sharp elbow jabbed her in the ribs as she shook the fog away. "May I?" he asked, and tilted his head to the box of holiday treats. She nodded. "Are you in town for the holidays?" Poppy asked Mark in a sweet effort to break the tension. "No, just passing through and had to drop some ideas with Janowitz. I don't really do—" Mark put his hands up and seemed to be washing away his surroundings. "All this holiday stuff. Pastries excluded, of course." If America could speak, she would have convinced him that Christmas is simply the best, most magical time of the year. All this Christmas stuff is worth every penny and every ounce of energy because it makes others happy and full of joy. But as it was, her mouth ceased operations in his presence. She smiled, and he probably thought she agreed with his absurd point of view. Mark turned with his frosted Santa-shaped cookie in hand and shook it in the air as he walked away. "Thanks for the cookie, America." America grunted and slapped her palm to her forehead. "What is the matter with you?" Poppy asked, and stood in America's line of sight. "I don't know whether to be offended that he doesn't like Christmas or to start writing America more in my Lisa Frank notebook." "You've got it bad," Poppy laughed. "I've got something, that's for certain."